to my page.
Yeah.
Cool.
What's going on, people? How's everybody doing? Hope all is well. I'm back with another one. Spirit, strength, and hope. We're going to let people come on up in here and see what's going on. Can anybody see? Are we clear? Let's get them. Let's get them dates going. Let's get this thing pushed out. Let's get what you're grateful for, what you do today positive, and what you're going through in this quarantine and how you're feeling. And let's get them locations. So everybody get them locations going. I see everybody's in the room. A couple people. I see everybody's in the room. Yeah, I don't know how to tag you in it. We'll just do all that after. It ain't let me do it. So what's going on, man? How you feeling? So everybody just tuning in. We're going to have this brother share his experience, strength, and hope. I'm going to pray in. And I'm going to hit the introduction. And then I'm going to let him have the floor. So if anybody's struggling out there, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Inspirational Freestyle Recovery Flow. It's very important to build a support network. It's very important to work a program. That's just my opinion. Well, that's experience too, because when I didn't work a program, I had a pipe in my mouth begging to work a program. You know what I mean? I don't get on here and share no theory. I don't get on here and share no other people's experience, strength, and hope. I'm telling you what works for me. What works for you might not work for me, but it works for thousands of people. And me and this brother attends 2 different fellowships, but but both of them work. How about that? So that's how I look at it. And y'all just tuning in. We love you. We believe in you. It's very important. If you're struggling, just send me a message and I'll connect you with some people. And I'm sure my man, whatever fellowship you choose to attend, like I said, we attend 2 different fellowships. I'm sure if it's some women coming in and you want to go to whatever, AA, you want to go to NA, I'll connect you with that fellowship. And my man right here will connect you with the other one. But we're not here to promote. This is not an NA platform. So I'm just getting that out there and let people know. But it's very important to build a support network. I'm sure my brother right here will share about that, but I'm going to pray you in right now. All right, Lord Almighty God, I just want you to place hands on my brother Aaron as he shares experience, strength, and hope, that you just allow him to get honest and vulnerable, and his message just touches that addict that is struggling or that alcoholic that is struggling, Lord God, and just be with him as he shares. If he struggles with any low self-worth, any lack of confidence, any low self-esteem, that you just remove that off him and place a message of hope on him and positivity. And if any negativity is on this live stream, just to place it in their heart to get positive, Lord, and look at their self and why they're acting negative, and just be with my brother and allow him to touch somebody tonight. Amen.
Amen.
Inspirational Freestyle Recovery Flow. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Go ahead, man. Floor is yours, baby.
All right. So those of you that don't know me, my name is Aaron Lindsay. I am from Northern Indiana, and I am an addict and an alcoholic. So just to start out, I grew up in a small rural community in northern Indiana, where I still reside. Grew up in a Christian lifestyle. Parents went to church every Sunday, still do. Great loving family, close family. I've got two brothers, both older than me. I grew up on the lake and had family friends that were farmers. So I grew up kind of half and half. I was over there a lot of the time. Started smoking cigarettes when I was about 12 or 13 years old, which is unbelievable to me now. I mean, now that I have kids. But that was the first addiction that I had. When it comes to drugs and alcohol, I think the first time I drank I was probably 14 years old. Living on the lake, there was the party lifestyle. Every weekend it was a party in the whole neighborhood there along the lake, and never really did that a whole lot, really. When I was 16, I joined the volunteer fire department, and I didn't want to miss a fire call, so I would want to make sure I was straight for that. And so I didn't do much partying as a teenager. I was on the volunteer fire department. When I was 19, I had my first child. I had a beautiful daughter. She's my life, always has been, love her to death. And when I was 20 years old, I joined the neighboring police department. So I was a police officer and a firefighter, and I was, I put a lot of time in the police department, fire department, stayed away from the drugs and alcohol. As I turned 21, I really didn't party a whole lot. I met my ex-wife when I was 21, in my later year of my 21st year. We got married when I was 22. She was in the military, got activated to active duty for the National Guard. We moved to south of Indianapolis, which is like 4 hours south of here. We lived on post for, I don't know, a few months, and then we ended up buying our own house, and I worked in Indianapolis doing window and door installation, and the partying, the drinking ramped up at that point from the time we met because of the military lifestyle. I mean, it's every weekend, every night, really. There was a barracks party we would go to, or an off-post party that we would attend with all the military folks. And when I was, I was 24, just turned. It was the day after my 25th birthday. I had an accident at work, and I had over 2,000 pounds of windows fall in a semi-trailer and pinned my head up against the semi-trailer and broke my jaw. Wow. And I was wired shut for 12 weeks. And that's when I was introduced to pain medication. It started out with liquid Vicodin, and then once I was unwired, I could put pills in my mouth, so they changed over to pills. And I was, this is in the early 2000s, where pain medications weren't the policies weren't so strict as they are now. So I was getting a lot of pain medication from my family doctor. A year and 2 months after that work accident, they stumbled across an incurable brain disease that I had. So they ended up scheduling brain surgery 2 weeks out from that point, and that was a pretty difficult thing to go through. Super painful. I mean, the brain surgeon was giving me, I'm not even going to say amounts because it's just ridiculous amounts of pain medication. My family doctor was giving them to me as well. So that was, I mean, not far into that was, I realized I'd had a problem. You know, I was doing stuff at work that, I mean, months and months that I didn't remember, you know, prior to that. And just because of the significant amount of pain medication that I was on. And I ended up going through a divorce. I was going through the hiring processes at Indiana State Police and Indianapolis Metro Police Departments. And I had to quit an EMT class that I was in for the fire department. That was, you know, the fire department I kind of put to the wayside because of all the, I mean, I was just on so much pain medication. I didn't want to be that guy that was driving a fire truck, you know, under the influence, and killing my brothers or killing a civilian or someone else. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility, and that's something that I was really passionate about, is fighting fires, you know, and being on the fire department. That's something that I dream of going back to someday. But as I was going through the divorce in 2008, I ended up getting someone pregnant, and she had my second child. And we weren't on the best of, our relationship didn't turn into much. So we weren't close, and she kept my daughter from me from, well, after, my daughter was about 4 years old, she moved out of state, and I ended up not seeing my daughter for 6 years, my youngest daughter, and thought about her, prayed for her on a daily basis. And it's, you know, she kept her from me for, from what she thought was protecting her, you know, our daughter. And which from her standpoint, I can't see it from her viewpoint. But you know, I just wanted to love my child and be able to be around my child. But fortunately now we are building that relationship. Me and my daughter, she's old enough to know, for the most part, what's going on. I've seen her once. I get to video chat with her. I get to talk to her on the phone all the time, text and whatnot. And so as far as the drug use, though, you know, like after my divorce, you know, I moved back home, which was 3.5 to 4 hours away from my doctors that I was getting my medications from. So they ended up cutting me off, both of them, pretty much at the same time. So what does an addict do? They go to the streets, start buying anything and everything from the streets, and that turned into hanging out with the wrong crowd of people and finding those new so-called friends that aren't really friends. They were using friends. You know, they were there for you when you had money and when you wanted the drugs that they had. But that turned into about 2-3 years of heavy meth use. Turned into about 1.5 years, 2 years of cocaine use. Went to heroin, and of course the pain pills were still, when I could get them, that was my go-to. And then it was, you know, I started getting introduced to the benzos, and those were my newfound love. Like I love the opiates and benzo combination. Pain pills and Xanax was my go-to, and that was I quit everything else. I quit the meth and the cocaine and the heroin all by myself, and which wasn't easy, but I would go back to the use of you know, Xanax and pain pills as much as I could get. You know, I wanted more of whatever I could get my hands on, pretty much. You know, there for a long time, 6-8 years, I was, you know, when the big Oxy 80s were around, still readily available, I was getting those, just, you know, and crazy amounts, and ended up getting to the point to where I shot a couple of those up. And you know, I didn't go to the I ended up shooting heroin a few times. I think 3 times, and I overdosed every time. I think you know, that we always tell ourselves that we're not as bad as the other guy. You know, we're not as bad as the guy on this or the guy on that or this guy that's lost everything. Well, I've lost several good jobs that were career jobs. I've lost my, you know, my marriage, my every relationship I've ever gotten into. I destroyed it. I wrecked 18 or 20 vehicles 2 or 3 times a piece, like just nodding out at the wheel, and just being under the influence all the time. It was ridiculous. You know, I had an accident in 2008 when I was going through my divorce, and it was the first accident I'd had where I was under the influence. And my daughter was with me that night, and it was pretty significant accident. I hit a Jeep Cherokee head on with a full size. I was in a full size pickup, and my daughter was in the passenger seat, and all she got is a bump on her head from hitting the windshield, or the window, the side window. And the other driver of the other vehicle, she ended up getting flown out from the scene. She had a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old with her, and fortunately the kids were untouched. They just had bruises from their car seat buckles, seat belts. But she was hurt pretty bad. She had to have her whole femur replaced with a steel rod and all kinds of crazy surgeries. And you know, that was a big wake up. But I still continued. You know, I was still an addict, so I still continued the lifestyle. I lived 2 different lifestyles. You know, and even up to, you know, I went to treatment. I ended up going to treatment in December of 2017, and after that, I found, I started going to AA and NA meetings locally, probably 7 or 8 years ago, and was in and out of the rooms. I'd go in, and I wanted to quit, but I always had that desire. The obsession was still there. So I would quit for a month or two, and then I would go back out. Quit for a month or two and go on 3 or 4 month bender. It just continued that whole cycle. And I was going to church every Sunday. There for quite a while. I would go. I attended church pretty regularly, and I was even in the church praise band for a few years, and would use on my way to church, after church. And I got to that second lifestyle. I would have 3 or 4 people on the line. I'd be calm and collected and cool in front of the family and friends, and then the second lifestyle, I would be texting 3 or 4 people, have them trying to find me pills and this and that and the other thing. And that lifestyle it's not an easy one to live. Especially in a small town where when you're on the fire department, everybody knows you. I quit the fire department about 5 years ago, because I just didn't want to be. I couldn't find the help, for one. I didn't know of any help back then, but I ended up getting out of that for the time being. And I had a severe problem with addiction then, and people knew it and didn't know how to help me. And they knew I had a problem. Several people did, but now let's see that after when I went to rehab in 2017, the obsession for alcohol left, but I still had that obsession for the drugs, the opiates and the Xanax, and whatever whatever was in front of me, I'd do it. Whatever somebody had, I wanted some of it, and I've got that addictive personality that you can't get rid of without God, because I tried 157.5 ways to quit, and I couldn't figure it out. I would always go back out and use. And I had a pretty a bad relapse after treatment. It was about 3 or 4 months after. I ended up getting a hold of a bunch of Xanax. I drove over to Chicago and picked them up, and by the time I got back, I was gone, and ended up falling asleep at a gas station that I pulled into, and ended up waking up in the ICU at the hospital, and I didn't know what had happened. I forget what the hell I was even doing. Bits and pieces came back to me, but I ended up getting arrested for that. I got a charge for possession, and then I ended up getting put on probation, and I ended up staying clean for a little bit. The obsession to use was still there. I worked a program that I white knuckled and stay clean for 4 or 5 months, and then I'd relapse. And then I had on my last relapse was last May through June. I was doing meth and Xanax, and the Xanax was pretty bad. I was pretty bad on that again, and like every time that I would go back out, it would get worse. I would lose more quicker. I would, I would get to the bottom faster. I'd lose my job. I'd lose my vehicle. I'd lose friends that I had gained trust back from, my family members. They wouldn't have that trust there. And my last relapse last year, I ended up getting arrested again and got a charge, and I ended up sitting out in front of my house in my truck, and I was talking to my neighbor, and he's a real good Christian guy, and we were talking, and I talked to God and gave him everything. I gave him my will in my life, and that next day I woke up and the obsession was gone, for the drugs, and the alcohol, like I said, was gone since December of 2017. But the obsession for the drugs went away at that point, and I couldn't figure out for quite some time why I didn't want any, because I'd gotten to the point in my life where I was gonna, I came to an agreement with myself that I was gonna be high on something the rest of my life, and I was okay with it. I was somewhat okay with living that lifestyle, living those two lifestyles, and from that point on, last June, June 12th, the obsession was gone, and it's weird because it gives you a feeling like you've never had before when that obsession is lifted, and it's completely amazing. And I've got a really close relationship with God at this point in my life, the closest I've ever had, and I think that is because I finally saw something significant enough that I know God is there now. Like, I know that God is real, and I believe that that people, if they want that obsession lifted, they have to have a higher power that can lift that obsession. Because like I said, I tried 1.5 million ways to quit, and I couldn't figure it out. I've tried everything to quit, and that obsession's always was always there, and now it's not, and it's pretty amazing. And today I work the AA program, and I go to NA and AA meetings, but I work the AA program. But I truly believe that the 12-step program can work miracles in anybody's life, whether you're an addict or not. But if on that last on the last relapse, I lost my job, and I lost my vehicle, and lost my license. Like, I was at the end again. Like, I lost I was at rock bottom again. I saw that rock bottom again, like for the 15th time, and I was tired of it. And I since then I've just recently, 3 or 4 months ago, I got a newer vehicle finally. But I've been promoted at work, that at my job that I got at first. I started out and thought that it was going to be another one of them throwaway jobs, and ended up being something that I love to do. And with people that I love working with, and I decided to make it a career, and I told myself that I was going to succeed at this job, and I am at this point. You know, I've been promoted to supervisor, and you know, I've got a real good job. I've got a good home. I've got my loving family is back. Like I'm getting the relationships back that I cherish and love, and you know, in somebody that is at rock bottom and thinks that there's no hope, there is hope. Like, you got to set your mind to it, and you got to put your mind to it, and keep looking towards the future, because anything's possible. I mean, I was a hopeless. I don't like using the word, but I was a junkie. Like, everything that was there, I would do it. You know, I was a trash can junkie, really, and I was hopeless. I didn't have hope for anything in my life, and you know, my oldest daughter, she's given me a grandson, and we've got an awesome relationship. He was over here today and spent the whole day here, and we had an awesome time, and it's awesome. Like, life is awesome today because of God and that 12-step program. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, brother.
Appreciate you, man. So what are some of the things that you struggle with today, and how did you get to a point where you started to love yourself?
Man, I think you know, talking to God, praying, a lot of praying. And that's where I had to forgive myself before, you know, I could love myself. And um, you know, like I said, I have a real close working relationship with God, and super important in my life. You know, that's the number one thing.
Appreciate you coming on here, brother, for real. So thank you, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Brother.
You're welcome. Hopefully there's somebody out there that's watching this that needs that little bit of hope, that doesn't think they have hope for themselves, and can get it and get themselves out of the rut they're in.
Absolutely. Somebody
Yeah.
gets something out of it, man. Somebody always can identify with something. Somebody said, I truly believe that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and
everybody got different stories and different, you know what I mean, different flavors that they accept, and some people, you know, can relate to what you just said. I mean, I know I could, man. You kind of told my story about the God piece, man, and I struggled with God for so many years, man, and that's what I was missing when I left the city mission. Like, I was in a faith-based program, like I had to surrender to God and give it all to Him in order to keep growing. Like, tomorrow is my clean date. 5/18/18 is my clean date. 2 years clean. Tomorrow with 12 o'clock. I just been zooming all over the world, man. Like, I can't just recovery through just pouring out. You know what I mean? I got to go and get mine too. And
absolutely.
That's what a lot of people don't understand and shit. Like, you can't do live feeds without getting filled up. Like, if you keep doing that, eventually you will get high. Like, I seen it before. Like, you can't keep pouring out. And like, for me, like, you only run off of so much experience. I don't run off of opinions and shit. And you can only talk so much, bro, and then you got to do some more work.
Absolutely.
You know, you believe that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I still to this day won't, I don't do much talking, because I like sitting back and listening and learning, soaking up all these, everybody's, you know, I like listening to people's stories and hearing, you know, what helped them, because I might catch just a little bit of that.
Yeah, if you go back on my page, man, I don't know if you've been following this page. I had some powerful speakers on here, like a lot of people. If you go back through the videos and shit, all last month and this month was some good speakers on here, man. And I know you can relate to a lot of them. My man Mike P, Raymond R. They speak all over the world. You know what I mean? And that ain't just why I got them on here, man. They committed to it and they did it and they shared and it reached a lot of people, thousands of people, man. And
yeah,
I just, you know what I mean? Like I said, man, like 12 o'clock, I'll go to a Zoom meeting, my home group, and it's out in New York. You know what I mean? I got a guy sharing from California, man, and he touched me, man, like he knows the literature. And that's what I'm attracted to, you know what I mean? And he tells the truth because we can hide behind all the motherfucking literature around here all the fuck we want. We could quote that shit, but how we really living at the crib, you know what I mean? Recovery for me starts at home, right? I got to make sure my house is in order. I got to make sure, you know, I'm attending to my relationship and shit. And I got to just be aware of how I treat other people, man, and treat people the way I want to be treated, right? That's what I think is very important for me, and accountability and just being responsible on a daily basis, man. And yeah, I kind of fell back, man. I kind of I don't like to talk all the time either, man. You know what I mean? Because people like, oh, you always want to hear what you got to say. And sometimes I got to get filled up, man. I got to get charged back up.
Absolutely.
Can't keep doing these live feeds without getting charged back up or not doing no work. It just ain't going to work. It don't work like that.
Nope, it doesn't.
And a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand that. They think like this ain't to see me on the screen for no pats on the ass or whatever I, you know what I mean? Whoever gets something out of it, that like it's just God's work, man. God gave me a vision in that Christian-based program. He told me to go live, man. He was like, share your experience, and it started to reach people, and people could identify because I don't share no bullshit on here. I share my whole relationships, my struggles in my relationships. When I'm going through how I got through all the struggles in the relationship, I call other members that got successful relationships, and they could identify with, they got experience in that area.
Sure.
And that's what we're about, man. That's what we got to be about. You know what I mean? They could share, you motherfucker come in here and share all that theory shit, and then you get high over that. Tell your motherfucking story. That's what I tell people. Instead of running around talking about people in the recovery community or whatever they're doing, tell your motherfucking story. You know what I mean? You feel that?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's guys that can quote the book, you know, quote the big book in a basic text all day long. They're good salesmen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're a good salesman. They can quote all the books, but when it comes to their life, they ain't living it, you know?
Yeah, that's just anybody in general. You gotta think like the literature was written by dope fiends for alcoholics or for dope fiends. It's a study, but I ain't even talking about that. I'm just talking about like in general. I got to make sure I'm charged up. I got to get filled up in order to keep pouring out on people because it just don't work like that, man. That's just my sponsor. He quotes literature, but he lives the literature. I seen how he lived. I went to a convention with him. He taught me how to do programming. I was on the programming committee, and I was just going in, man. I was excited. I was enthusiastic. It was up in the Erie, PA, man, and I was just on fire, brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just on fire, bro. I was trying to, I'm trying to live, man. I'm trying to eat, breathe, and sleep recovery, man. But I know for me, you know what I mean? I got to attend to my relationship. I got to make sure the people on my weed is all right. Make sure we're networked. And that's why for me now, I started, you know, connecting people, like I said, like with support networks and the numbers that I have and that I hold and the people that I hold to my heart dearly. And I know that it's working a program and those have experience and stuff. What's up, Christina? What's up? Everybody on here. But I mean, that's true, man.
And, you know, that I help people. I'm a recovery coach now.
Are you?
And yep. And I help run Recovery First, the Facebook page Recovery First. We have Zoom meetings every day at this point. In June, they're going to be going to Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you guys, whoever's listening, if you're not a member of Recovery First, come on over. We also work with Spiritual Animals of Recovery. They have Zoom meetings as well, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. So check those out. You know, reach out if you're struggling. Reach out if you're not struggling. You know, talk to people. Build your network up.
Yeah, man.
I've got people all over the world that are like brothers to me, you know, that I've never met.
Yeah.
In real life, but you know, or like in person, but you know, we're in meetings together all the time and doing stuff online. And
yeah, I was just
like,
in England.
You know, we're like a family. Yeah.
I was in England, Iran. They was in the tunnels, man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. You know what I mean? I'm connected all over the world too.
Yep.
In my fellowship, man. I could connect anybody anywhere. Just find what works for you. That's what I tell people.
Absolutely.
I believe in both programs. I just know what works for me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And what works for you.
Recovery is different.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I just do what I do, man. I like to connect people. That's very important to do that, right? So people are struggling, like I tell them, I'll connect you. It's very important that you do it on your own, though. You build, you know, women with the women, men with the men, build a support network. Yep. And I'll connect you with some people. Does anybody want to attend a fellowship you in? I'll message you. I'll message Joey and them, and yeah, it's what we do, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Thank you, though, man.
Yeah, you're
stepping
welcome.
Outside yourself tonight and just getting on here and just spreading some hope and some experience, man, and some strength. And yeah, definitely, man, when that I could identify, like what you said, man, was very traumatic, man. Like when the glass, all that glass smashed your head and shit. That's what got me, man. Like, wow, dude, wow.
Yeah.
God was right there on that. He was right there, home. He had to be. That's why I tell people, God's real, man. If you didn't just hear this brother's story of what he just said, man, he had brain injuries and all, and he's on the screen ticking. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if you don't believe recovery is possible and real, you know what I mean, then you might want to check again. You might want to get your head out your ass.
Yeah.
Think you know everything. Like
definitely is possible.
Huh?
Definitely possible for anybody. If you're still breathing, it's possible.
I appreciate you, man. God bless you, man. For real. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
For getting up on here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Stepping out yourself, having the courage just to get on. You know, because I had people from all walks, man, of life. Like some people's passionate, enthusiastic like me. Some people's calm. Some people, you know how it is, man.
Yes, sir.
Some people, I know I can relate to you, man, the trauma and shit. What happened to you, dude, and like you're a vision of hope, brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
You have a blessed night,
You're
brother.
welcome. Thank you. You too. Thanks for having me on.
All right, brother. Good stuff. Christine, y'all want to check out Meet the McGavins, follow them, Spiritual Animals. I support them to the fullest. They're my family. I discovered them in the Clean and Sober group. That's a group. That's what I discovered them in. They was doing live feeds. I support them. And then they're really good people, man. I love y'all so much dearly. You know, so we're going to do some things. I love y'all so much. We're going to be doing some drawings. We're going to be doing some giveaways. My sponsor, he donated to the page. He came over today. Want to share this with y'all. He gave me my 2 years. My sponsor gave me my medallion. Well, tomorrow, my girl bought me this. This is pretty cool. My 2 years. She bought me that, man. That's my baby. And if you're just tuning in, I love you. If y'all need a support network, get with me. Reach out. I don't know if I'm sharing. I don't know if anybody got me set up for anything sharing on my anniversary. I'll probably check in and do something special. I'll do something special with the people on here. And check in with some people, get some people on the windows and how the page helped them, how it inspired them, how it got them through situations. So we're going to be doing something special for my anniversary. I love y'all so much. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you. Lord Almighty God, thank you for allowing me to carry the message, Lord God, and thank you for just being with me and lifting people up throughout this journey that's in pain and suffering. Amen. Love y'all.